Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
a modern witch's spoken word grimoire,
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense,
your cauldron and your crystals,
and join us
as we get
Back on the Broomstick.
Hi, and welcome to Back on the Broomstick. On this winter solstice eve episode, we'll be doing a witch's answer so that you can have something to carry you through the longest night. I'm Layla.
And I'm Chelle. And honestly, part of it is that we've been a little lax on responding to some of the questions. So here we are. We have answers to your questions. So happy solstice, happy Yule, happy New Year coming up. And let's get down to some questions. Layla, I've got questions.
I have a lot of questions. I may or may not be behind in emails equal to or slightly greater than your tarot collection.
Yeah, but you know what? This girl caught up on Instagram messages.
Well, I'm caught up on Facebook messages, just not emails. Thank you. I appreciate the emails. Keep them coming. I will catch up eventually. It's very awesome.
We are only two people, folks. We are literally only two people. We're getting there. We're getting there.
We're getting there. We are also getting ready for the solstice. I'm very excited to start our candle tradition. I've got them out and ready to go.
I'm just trying to get ready and get settled. And there's the circle of lights, there's Yule, there's the solstice, there's this new candle tradition that you have put on to me that I simply just love. There's a lot going on this month, magically.
That's true. And tonight, Friday, if you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, Friday the 20th, December 20th, is Mother's Night in the Yule tradition. This is the first night of the 12 Nights of Yule, and it's called Modron's Nacht, or Mother's Night.
I'm glad you say those words and not me, because I am such a pronunciation murderer.
I try. I try and look up and see native speakers how they say it, but I still get it wrong. So if I mispronounce things, please forgive me. I do try to get it right. So it's Mother's Night, so that's kind of cool. And on this Mother's Night, we're going to be the aunties to all of you lovely witchlings and answer a whole bunch of questions.
I love that. I love that folks think that we're like their little witch aunts. That just warms my heart. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're very close to coming into our full power as the great aunts from Practical Magic. And even though you would think that we would fight over who gets to be Sigourney Weaver, because let's face it, she's amazing. In this particular case, I know that I am the Diane West character. Just call me Aunt Jet. That's me. Yeah, I own that one.
If this was Practical Magic, I am going to be fighting with you over who's making the margaritas.
We don't have to fight. We can both make them.
Who gets to do the first curse? No, wait, did I say that?
Oh, we'll be making margaritas together. We'll be hexing together. We're going to be those old aunties in our amazing shoes and cool stockings presenting at festivals that we can't.
Oh my God, you know what would be totally fitting right now?
What's that?
We've got some listeners who go back and listen to the Stoned Witches Hour, our previous podcast. Right now is when we need my cackle. Remember my cackle laugh from Stoned Witches
I do.
Hour?
We still have that on our solarium episodes. If you hear the introduction to our solarium episodes, that's the same introduction we use for the Stoned Witches Hour. I don't know what to tell you. It was a busy time. I had 2 podcasts going and, so I recycled the introduction I had already created. So, yeah. It's a good one, though, so totally worth it.
Yeah.
But bringing up our first podcast, the Stoned Witches Hour, actually brings me to our first question from a listener. This is from Becky from North Carolina. And Becky says, I just wanted to say, I just started listening to your podcast. I have binged the whole thing. I'm coming close to the current end, and I'm almost sad I will not walking around with the 2 of you in my ear all day. I just wanted to let you know that I absolutely love you guys and want to be your bestie too. You guys are awesome. I have 1,000,004 questions that I want to ask, so I just want to come hang out with y'all for a few days. That's all for now. Becky, we love that, and we get that a lot, actually. We've been hearing that quite a bit on our podcast discussion group online and from some other people. They have binged both podcasts, are starting over, and we wish we could do more episodes too.
We're getting there, people. I actually responded to someone in the discussion group, I think it was a couple days back, that we actually don't take breaks. A lot of podcasts do seasons. What the hell is a season of Layla and Chelle? Like, what is
Not
that?
sure. Well, we're into our like cozy hig season right now, I think, but there is no off season.
Yeah, we don't take breaks. I mean, maybe we might take a week or two off and record a couple episodes to put out for those week or twos, but like we don't take breaks.
No, that just means we work double the weeks before.
Yeah, we're just kind of, it really comes back to it's our way of hanging out with each other. Y'all are just along for the ride.
And we love having you all along for the ride. And it seems like this is a common thing. And we wish we could be available more. We've had a couple people ask for some personal instruction from the aunties. And I got an email from a witch who's kind of stepping back into her pagan self and is wondering if we'd take on a student. And Shell has also gotten a message asking for some mentoring.
So I'm going to mention mine first. And again, I'm not going to read the whole message either, but so I got a message on the gram. One of our lovely friends, Courtney, I hope I'm saying your name right, honestly, said that she's messaging because she's listened to all of the episodes and wanted to message us. She's new to witchcraft and she's looking for a mentor. She had asked if there was any way we could mentor her, but she knows that we're busy folk. But she was hoping that maybe we could point her in the right direction of where to find a mentor because she is just ready to eat this shit up. She said she wants to learn everything she can. And I think that some folks, I just want to put this in there, that I think that not everybody is great with groups of people. Not everybody is looking to go out and be with a bunch of total strangers and create those bonds quite yet. They want to ease into it, tiptoe into it. We get it. And, mentorship is actually a great way to fulfill that yearning to learn, but without having to be with a group of people that you may not be comfortable with yet.
And that's something that was expressed by another listener, Natalie, who emailed us. And Natalie, I loved your whole email and I totally get trying different routes. I also did the same thing until I found what worked for me. And Natalie said, have you ever considered adopting a baby witch that you two feed direction to and then say monthly or short segments weekly, have that baby witch on to discuss their progress, concerns, and questions? She's suggesting that we take on a mentee and teach them, and then at the end, maybe have them on to discuss what they learned. And that sounds kind of interesting.
Hey, Layla, this gives me an idea.
What's your idea, Shell?
What if we maybe agreed to that?
Hmm. So what if we said to Natalie and
Courtney,
maybe, yes, we will take you on as mentees for a month and see how it goes?
I think we should.
Well, Shell, I think you may possibly have made two people's day, but I think that's something we could very much consider. And I think maybe we could make this something that we do going forward. We could choose one or two people to answer all their deepest burning questions and have one-on-one with.
We could be their aunties for the month.
We could be their witch aunties for the month. I love it. I love it. We're going to get in touch with Courtney and Natalie and let them know the details once Shell and I iron them out. And we will let you all know how that goes. We're hoping at some point to have this as something that we offer regularly, maybe to our benefactors. If you would like to have more things like that available to you, the best way to do that is by becoming one of our benefactors and donating every month. We do have a link in the description of every show. It just says support the show. If you click on it, it goes right to our donation page. We also have a support the show link on our website, backonthebroomstick.com. And occasionally we do post them on social media so you can find them there as well.
I got something more fun than all of that. Next question.
Next question. All right, what you got?
Emily. I like Emily. She sends us messages a lot, and her and I sometimes go back and forth. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Emily, I'm going to kind of put this in a little bit more broad of a question. Hers was a little more specific to a specific deity, but ultimately, the vein of her question is, how do you start working with a deity? I know that we've kind of touched on this a little bit in some episodes, but she was actually referencing Hecate specifically. So, let's say hypothetically you're new to all of this and you're like, hey, I have found witchcraft and now I want to find a god or a goddess or both or many to do my thing with. Now what? So maybe you have felt that calling. maybe it seems like Emily has felt the calling of Hecate. Good luck, my friend. But maybe you've got that calling, or maybe you're drawn to the mythology behind it, or whatever reason. Maybe you were walking downtown, saw a store with a statue in it, and it was stunning, and now all of a sudden, I don't know, however you came across it. How do you go from that to deity? I don't, maybe deity worship isn't the right phrase, but to commune with that deity, to connect with that deity, to start working with that deity. Ultimately, her question is, in a nutshell, how do you get from I've decided to work with this deity to being able to work with that deity?
I'm glad you said decided because one of the common questions that we get a lot is how do you know a deity is calling out to you? How do you know you're supposed to work with a deity? And a lot of people are under the assumption that you have to be called or a deity needs to appear before you in darksome light or whatever before you're allowed to worship with them or to work with them. And that's not true. Does that happen? Sure. But it more happens in the form of, hey, I have this sudden interest in the Morrigan. Suddenly I'm seeing keys everywhere. Maybe I should look into Hecate. Maybe you start seeing foxes all over the place or cats. Or maybe you'll just feel drawn to a certain area of the world. You want to start studying Ireland more.
Maybe you just realized that Stevie Nicks' song about Rhiannon wasn't just some hippie weird thing.
Right, it's an actual goddess.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so whatever that calling looks like for you, the first step is learning about that deity. And that's really worship. And for some deities, some goddesses in particular, knowledge is how you worship them. That's what they're all about. But that is the first step with any deity is to look into them, read what you can about them, find the books with authors that know what they're talking about.
Kind of inform yourself, educate yourself on all the ins and outs. I know that there's a lot more books more recently out about Hecate specifically, but if you are having trouble finding books about the deity you're pulled to, this is a weird thing that we're not used to, but go to the library. There are some treasure troves there that, maybe they're a little bit older, but it is the information you're looking for.
And you'll never know when the appendixes of that book lead you to something else.
Down a rabbit hole of books.
Exactly. Find someone on YouTube or a podcast that you trust. Listen to what they have to say on that deity. But then your next step is going to be, for me, you know exactly what I'm going to say.
Meditate and journal. Boom, there, I guessed it. There's my psychic ability of the day.
Wow, I don't know how you guessed that. I
You
bet no one
know,
else out there listening guessed either of those. I bet nobody did.
they're all in shock and awe right now. Shock and awe.
Surprise! Surprise! I'm going to ask you to meditate about it and I'm going to ask you to journal about it, write the things that jump out at you, maybe a specific animal or a color, but write it all down because this literally, that is what they mean when they say deity is reaching out to you. It's not always going to look like a burning bush or somebody literally putting words in your head.
I'm gonna eat my words right now, but damn it, you're right. You're right, and I hate to say it, but I don't call it meditating. I call it quiet communing with the goddess.
I love the excuses you come up with for yourself. That's fantastic.
They work for me. They work for me.
And that's what you got to do. Whatever works for you. I love that. And build a regular practice is my last piece of advice. Is build
Yeah.
something regular, particularly when you first are starting out to work with a deity. Is find, 2, 3, 5 things to do every single day that show your devotion.
I like the altar idea, even if it's just a colored candle, that color is associated with that god or goddess, whatever. Maybe you're in the broom closet and it has to be a symbol written on a card that's under a glass. I don't know. Do what you got to do, but have some sort of, I like the altar idea because it gives you a visual.
And tending that altar can be
Yeah.
one of the things you do for the day. And your, what did you call it? Your quiet contemplative communion with the deity. You can have, so if you do your journaling, your quiet communion, and tending that altar, there's 3 things every day. If you just do those 3 things at the same time every day, you have now built a practice towards this deity.
And if you have a busy lifestyle or have motivational issues, I ain't judging, I
No.
swear. You can do one of those things every other day and have those be your 3 things a week or
hmm
whatever works for you.
Maybe you pick every Friday, or maybe you have Wednesday afternoons available, but try to pick something regular.
Now, you said something that, we usually try to go back and forth, and I do a question, you do a question, and we have a way of doing this. But you kind of sparked on something that leads into a question I've got.
Let's do it.
Shell takes a left turn. Nuh-uh.
So weird.
Okay. How do I tell what are witchy signs and what is things just happening? Everything can't all be signs. And that was by Amy Lee. I agree. Every damn thing in the world is not a sign, okay?
They are not all signs.
But Amy Lee's question is how do you differentiate what is a sign and what is just shit happening?
That's part of the practice of being a witch. And that's part of learning to trust your intuition. And that's another journaling thing. If you find something, say a butterfly crosses your path and you have never seen a butterfly that yellow in your entire life, and you're like, this must be a sign. I don't know what it's a sign of, but it must be a sign.
I mean, like how I've told you how I'm being stalked currently for the last couple months by this owl. That
That's
is a
different.
sign. That is a sign. But like, if you drive down the road and go to work and you're running late and your boss is pissed at you and you get a flat tire on the way, that flat tire ain't a sign.
Not necessarily. And that's why I'm saying if you think it's a sign, you should journal it. What do you feel about it? What did it make you feel? What was happening when you saw it? What made you think that it was a sign? Is it because you've never seen a butterfly that yellow?
Is it part of a pattern?
Yeah, exactly. Is it part of some type of pattern? All these things are things that you should write down so that you can tell if it is a sign or not. Because your senses are probably, if you have to ask, your senses are not yet at a level where you know. Shell mentioned the owl that she was stalked by not too long ago. There's a feeling, there's a sense, there's a skin prickling, the hairs on the back of your neck, a weird feeling in your belly. Everybody has a feeling when you're in the presence of power or when you're in the presence of divination or something of that nature. You feel it.
Yeah, yeah.
When you saw that owl for the first time, I don't remember if you called me or texted me right away, but you felt it. You knew immediately that that meant
I
something.
sent you the picture of it.
You did. And then there started to be a pattern afterwards. So that was confirmation. And so that's what you're looking for. And that's why you really need to write it down. Write down the date because you will not remember. I promise you, no matter what you tell yourself. Write down the date, write down how you felt, why you thought it was a sign, and everything about it that you can remember. That way you can go back and look and see if it actually was or wasn't.
Start the pattern.
Find the pattern and find out how it feels to you when you are in the presence of magic or when you're in the presence of something that's more than just synchronicity.
Okay, now it's your turn for a question, I guess.
This one is from an anonymous listener in Grand Junction, Colorado. And they say, hello, new witch and new listener here. I've been binging and even got my husband hooked on you as well. He listened to 4 of your episodes yesterday during a long work drive and loves you guys. So, hi, hubby.
I love when the husbands get sucked in.
And they say, I've been really feeling pulled toward candle and herb magic, and my child has been really struggling with grief. And I was wondering, 1, is it safe or ethical to do a spell on behalf of a child? And 2, what is the best way to do that?
Wait. Hold on a second. Back up. Did they say they were the parent?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
And 2, logistically, how do you do a spell or charm on behalf of someone else to ease their pain, etc., if they don't really know you are doing it?
All right. Shell is not a good person to ask this question to because I'm going to start off with I would go to prison with a smile for my children. So you do you. And my children are now adults, and I would still do magic on their behalf because they're my kids. And if they don't like it, tough shit because I am their mother. Okay? I say you do you, Mama Bear, 110.
I think she's more looking towards grief or sadness magic for the child, magic on the child. Is
See,
that okay if they're too
again,
young to consent?
agree. Do you consent that your kid goes and watches a PG-17 movie? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of I don't want to say your position as a parent, but you are in a position until they are of legal age to make decisions that you feel are in their best interest. until that time. And if they are not at that point yet, whether it's magic or something mundane, you still are in that position as their parent to decide what is or is not appropriate and right for that child. And if that is doing any sort of spell to their benefit, yeah.
Depending on your magical system and your personal belief system, doing magic on or for another person can be tricky. Some believe that it's no big deal. If someone is drowning, of course you go save them. You don't ask their permission first. And so if someone needs help, of course you would help them. And a couple ways that I find to do that, especially with children, is one, to involve them in it. And by involving them in it, their higher mind will give consent or not. If they're part of a spell that's you playing with them, they will either consent or not.
I can see, though, a point of view where maybe the child's mindset might not be in a place to be able to do that because the grief is so heavy on them.
Yeah, that's why sometimes if you don't involve the child, you can just appeal to their higher mind. When you do the spell on their behalf, you can put that energy out there to that person, whether it's your child or another person. And then that energy is there for their higher self, who won't be clouded by emotions to either
I'm
use
so
or
bad. I
not
would just
use.
do it. I would just do it. I'm so bad. I would
Yeah.
just do it. That's just my personality. I would just do it.
And again, I also have the thought patterns of if someone is in pain or in danger, I just help them. I don't ask permission first,
Especially when it's your kid.
especially when it is my child. I do believe in people's personal autonomy, so I have lines I will not cross, but I don't remember where I read it. It was in a book. I'm so sorry. Hopefully, future Layla will remember and I'll pop in here with it. I think this was in South American folk magic, but they said that if someone is drowning, you don't ask them permission before you save them. You just save them. So in their culture, they don't ask your permission first. If they think that they need to do magic to help you, they just do it. And your soul, your being, your magical self will either accept it or you won't. But they don't have any hangups about doing magic for or on someone else. So I guess it really just depends on your personal belief system.
Right, right.
Their culture views things like that differently. And it resonated with me because I feel the same way. You just do it. You just help
Right.
them. So
Exactly.
in this particular case, you're doing it for their good. If you're worried about it, just make sure you include in your spell or your ritual that you are sending out this energy for their higher self to use for their best interest. And then send it out there. And basically, it's like you putting food on their porch. If they want it, they'll take it. If they don't, they won't.
See, I'm the opposite kind of mom, man. I just impose my shit on them kids. Love
So
them.
I'm gonna make like oatmeal raisin cookies, which are the best in the world, by the way, and offer them to my starving child. You're going to hold them down and force feed a syringe of food down their throat.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Do. That's what moms do.
that's right. And hey, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I'm with you. So there's that question. Got another one, Shell?
Okay, this one kind of gave me like goosey bumps.
Oh, okay.
Probably not going to make our listener feel any better, just saying.
Oh no.
Okay, so Alyssa, this one's for you. So Alyssa is having an issue. So she had this mirror, and the mirror broke,
Oh no.
and she didn't get into
Mirrors
the
creep me
details.
out.
She didn't get into the details of the how or the why, but just that it happened. And there was a corner of the mirror, which, by the way, I'm going to have to send this to you because she sent us a picture of it too. The corner, like a little broken piece. She has thrown out this broken piece over 5 times,
No.
and she keeps finding it.
Oh no.
And it has her initials on it too. And she wants to know if it's lucky or cursed. And like, I don't feel like this is lucky. I'm just gonna start there. I'm sorry, Alyssa. I'm sorry.
Historically, items that you intentionally throw away that keep coming back to you, particularly if it started out as unlucky, like a broken mirror.
Run.
I'm gonna say that maybe the next time you throw it out, you should possibly wrap it up with some black salt. Grab onto your broomstick, witches. Back after these messages.
Hey there! Welcome to the Living Limitless podcast, where we explore all sides of the fence and dive deep into the conversations that pique your curiosity. From breaking free of the 9-to-5 grind to exploring big ideas like the Mandela effect, Shifting your perspective and building healthy habits, we're here to inspire you to think differently. This is a space for open-minded conversations about mindset, business, wellness, and what it truly means to live without limits. Whether you're chasing a dream, questioning the status quo, or just looking to grow, this podcast is for you. Join us on the journey to living limitless.
Actually, what I was thinking, I had a good idea the first time I read this, I was like, oh boy, I need duct tape. I would actually take duct tape and I would duct tape over the reflective part of it. And then after I duct taped over it and made it no longer a reflective surface, then I would do, like you were starting to say, the black salt.
I do that first. Sprinkle your black salt right there, maybe some rosemary to break any hexes. And then, like Shell said, just wrap the hell out of it with some good old duct tape. Fixes everything.
Yep.
And just as you're wrapping it, say, I bind you, motherfucker.
Some sealing and protecting of me and my space.
Yeah. And then once you throw it away in the garbage with intent and purpose, like throw
Like,
it.
throw it, like
Yeah.
throw it.
With
Like
force.
how I say to throw your cinnamon sticks out the door. Throw
Yeah.
it like a baseball.
Yeah. Right into the garbage with intent and force. Even tell it goodbye or, literally shut the door on it.
If it comes back after that move.
Yeah, then take it out of the house. So take it out of your garbage, put it in your outside garbage, and then cleanse your whole house and seal it.
Alyssa,
Better safe than sorry,
good
right?
luck. Good luck, my friend. Good luck.
Yeah, but if you're getting the same broken mirror piece coming back, that's bad luck. I don't think that's good. I don't think in any movie or book I've ever read,
Yeah, no.
that's
Yeah,
never
no.
a good thing.
Yeah, no.
All right, so let's keep with our horror theme, and I've got a good question for you, Shell. You're going to love this one.
Throw it at me.
This question comes from Kelly. Kelly says, someone told me I should not use a pendulum board because it was the same as using a Ouija board. What are your thoughts on that?
Use it.
My first thoughts is yes, they are the same.
Yeah.
That is not a bad thing. They're both a way to talk with spirit, with your higher self. They're a way to connect to the spirits around you, to the energies around you, and have them be able to spell out with letters, either using the planchette or using your pendulum, a message. That's all it is. It's a way to speak to
Ouija
spirit.
boards have been given a bad rap. Spirit boards, talking boards, Ouija boards, they have been given a bad rap. And lest we forget, the elite of the elitist were using them as parlor games, barely 100 years ago. So they've gotten a bad rap lately, and use them. I love them. They're fun. Use all the same precautions that you would with any other thing, but I have a hard time, me personally, connecting with a pendulum, and we've discussed this in the past. So I'm saying do it, but it's just not, pendulums aren't for me, but it's just more the mechanics of it than what it's actually doing.
I actually very much like the pendulum. It's one of those energies that has absolutely amazed me from the first time I was introduced to crossed wire pendulums by someone who used them to find buried wires and buried water pipes underground. That's amazing to me. That's magic that is scientifically accepted, and I absolutely love it. But the feeling that you get when you use a pendulum is amazing. I've never tried using one with a Ouija board or with a pendulum board, but it's got me really wanting to dig out my old pendulum and see if it'll work really well. But just like Shell said, use it with intention. Make sure you ground, you center, you cleanse your tools, but just use it like you would any other divination tool. And it's another thing for you to have in your
A
arsenal.
pendulum, a Ouija board, a tarot deck, the runes.
Runes, charms.
In my mind, they're all kind of the same thing. It's just kind of pick your tool.
Yep. So whoever someone is, if they're trying to scare you, that's silly. Yes, they're the same, but neither one of them are bad. It's just another way to do divination. And if one of them calls to you, by all means, go for it.
Absolutely.
So what do you got next, Shell?
Okay. This one I have, this is from an anonymous person. We have gotten a listener that just started listening to the podcast, but they weren't following us on the old IG because they are in the broom closet. Hence the reason it's anonymous. They said that we keep talking about gathering energy and storing it behind your belly button. This person can't seem to do that. They can only seem to feel it and store it in their chest and can only feel it in their hands. They want to know if this is an issue and what does it mean. And they just love us and said thank you.
Aw. We love you too.
Honestly, I want to start off with I think we all kind of have that little store it in different places kind of thing. We've talked before about how I have back issues, so sometimes energy wise, I would stay away from putting energy near that area of my body because, well, that area of my body is just toxicity energy wise. So I think we all just kind of have different ways and places, but I don't think it necessarily means anything bad or that it's an issue. I just think that just because in a meditation, if they say something like, you're going to gather this energy in your belly button area, if you gather it in your butt cheek, who cares? You're still on that same wave just because you're not necessarily having the same experience as someone else doesn't make it wrong
Yep.
or that it is an issue or that you're not getting the same effect out of it.
Yep.
I was thinking when we were talking about like, the chakra thing where you're building up the energy down your chakra points. And that's what made me think of, people just because of energy blocks or physical health issues, sometimes you just have to avoid where energy's traveling through your body.
Anonymous in the broom closet, the good thing that you said was that you feel energy, and that means you're way ahead of a lot of people.
Right.
And Shell said chakras, and I know that we have a Western idea of this Eastern concept, this high magic concept of chakras, and but there are energy meridians in our body, and lots of different cultures and belief systems acknowledge this. The chakra system starts at your base, at your lower spine, and it moves up your body to the crown of your head. Each one of those centers is an energy center, and there's 7 of them going up your body. In any of those, you can feel that energy pool, and that just might mean something. If you're feeling it in your chest, maybe you're feeling maybe there's your heart chakra or your solar plexus chakra. Maybe that's the strongest one that you have. Maybe that's where your energy center is. We had a coven member who used to say that his hands turned on, and I can feel my hands doing it right now just talking about it. It's Shell, you're the Reiki master. It's a Reiki thing, right? When
Yes.
you
Yep.
use that,
Yep.
and it's something that a lot of people will do instinctually when you start to move magic. It's almost like you get that Iron Man, the circles of power on the centers of
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
That's a common place for people to feel it. Like I said, it's in Reiki, but wherever you feel it in your body, it's not wrong. It's just very common to feel it in the center. And if you can pool it there, it's a good, easy place to pool it. So it seems to be common for people, but it's not bad if you have a different place where you like
If
to
if
pool
you
your
gather
energy.
it and pool it elsewhere. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. I'm just stoked you can feel the energy. You are way ahead of the game there. Way to go. Keep practicing. All right. I got another question for you.
What you got?
So this is from Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
And Jeff says, "Good afternoon, ladies. Love me a gentleman." And he says, "I am very interested in hedge riding. I have been working on this for a year now and believe I was able to get there once. It was very intense and uncontrollable, and I had a lot of anxiety trying to get back. And I haven't been able to get back there again and was wondering if you have had any experience." So,
Wow.
all right, let's explain what hedge riding is for people in case you don't know. Hedge riding is it's a folk practice typically. Hedges are when you think of a hedge, it's like a fence, right? It's like a row of bushes.
I always kind of thought of it as like astral travel.
Astral travel is similar to this, but a hedge is basically a line between two places. It's a liminal place. And hedge riders are energy workers, witches, shamans, people who travel from this world across the hedge, across that line, into a metaphysical place,
I
into this.
seriously, I seriously always visualized it as an actual hedge, like,
Yeah, you
a
can.
bush
Yeah.
with a witch flying on a broom along the hedge.
And if that helps you, you can. There's a lot of different metaphors for it. Some people see a wall, some people see a ravine, some people will see different things. But if you see a literal hedge, that works. Same thing. It's a fence. It's a liminal space that you cross to get from the mundane world into the spirit realm, into the realm where our ancestors and deity and the universe is.
It's almost like if you walked through the door or if you crossed the street, you're going from this side to the other side. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
I feel like riding the hedge is like if you're trying to ride in between that space, you
Yes,
know?
hedge riders are people who keep literally one foot in this world and one foot in the other
Yeah.
so that they can ferry people across, help spirits to pass, or to bring messages across. Sometimes people will hedge ride in order to do that. This is not a beginner technique. None of what we're about
Absolutely.
to talk about here is for
not.
beginners at all. If you don't know what a hedge is, please do not attempt hedge riding.
Not.
So it's this liminal space, and it's different than meditation because when you're in a meditation, you know where you're going. You've written it out. You're basically just traveling within your own subconscious.
This is like really kind of traveling, I don't want to say to another plane, to another dimension, but you are mentally going to a different place.
You are leaving your body behind and you are spiritually, mentally, your soul then travels the hedge to the other side.
Now, one way that I think is more common that people might equate this to is sometimes if people have like a near-death experience and they say that they feel like they left their body and that they kind of saw their physical body below them, but they were like outside of their body watching these things
Yes.
happen. That's kind of that space.
Right, right. And entheogens, people who talk about entheogen plants and drugs, these are the ones that help connect you to the spirit realm. They have a specific way of helping your spirit self separate from your body. Again, not a beginner or even intermediate practice.
This is definitely like you need to be a well seasoned you need
Yeah.
to have a background to do this.
Yeah, and now there are some people who are drawn to hedge riding or pulled across the hedge against their will. They also need to practice really hard so that
Right.
they can control it. But you can't always control what happens once you leave. But the control comes in being able to cross the hedge when you wish to, both ways, forward and back. That's where the control comes. And so that's what you have to learn through meditation, through dream work, through path work.
I would even suggest not doing such things alone.
Particularly in the beginning, sure.
I don't want to say use the buddy system, but use the
Yeah,
buddy
yes.
system, you know?
When you're hedge riding, make sure that your buddy is in within arm's reach at all times.
I mean, I'm never really one to be like, hey, maybe you should not do that until you're a little more experienced. But this is one of those things where I am like, hey, a buddy to start out with wouldn't be a bad idea until you are fully in control and can go back and forth without issue.
Yeah, and practicing going into very deep meditative states, very, very deep alpha states, going into those states, retrieving messages, and then bringing yourself back out of them at will is
It's a good
just
way
the
to
beginning.
practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
practice doing that first. Once you get good at that level of meditation, then you can start on the next steps. It's not a necessary thing. If it's something
No.
that you would like to do, it's very good for you. It's something that brings you to a lot of challenges. It brings a lot of learning. There's a lot of letting go. There's a lot of learning about yourself that happens there. It's definitely something that will aid any witch in advancing their magical path, but you can't just buy a ticket and go.
Right, right. This isn't like going to Six Flags and hopping on the Superman ride.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Might feel that
So,
way at the end, but you might want
yeah.
to vomit, pass out, but you never know.
Right. And even as much as shamanistic and ritualistic and magical as hedge riding is, there's still a pattern to it. You want to set up your safe place. You want to have your buddy right there.
Right, right,
You're going to want to do an anchor, whether your buddy's your anchor or whether you set up an object, a smell, a certain song to come on, or an
right.
alarm, some type of trigger or anchor to bring you
Bring you
back
back.
is
It's
always a good idea.
almost like working with fairies.
Yeah, it's a lot like because you never know who or what you're going to encounter on the other
Right.
side. You cannot control that. You can ask for certain beings, energies, entities to be there.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah, and who knows what else or who else will be there. So you want to set a time limit. You want to have a something specific like an alarm that goes off, a candle that burns down after a certain amount of time. You're going to want your anchor. Make sure when you come back, whether it's in a deep alpha meditation or hedge riding, that you ground yourself. Eat some food, drink your water,
Right.
Hydrate, people.
All the things.
Do
Yeah.
all the things. And if you don't know how to ground, don't go hedge riding.
Right. Baby steps, folks. Baby
Baby
steps.
steps. So yeah, these are things that you can do. And if you slip into hedge riding, just try to think of home, think of your body, try to remember where you are, think of your room, reconstruct what your favorite place looks like in your mind. Do these things to pull yourself back as much as you can, and then do your grounding, reconnect, touch all the things, smell the wonderful smells, eat some yummy food, get back into your body and reconnect with your body if you do happen to slip against your will. So I hope that answered your question, Jeff, because hedge riding is a big thing. We will absolutely touch on it in full in a later episode.
Good luck, Jeff.
Good luck.
So I have one more question, and this is actually a pretty darn good question. So this question comes from Sarah. Sarah totally got into making spell jars, which I'm totally down with. I love a good spell jar. But her question is, when do you undo it or don't you? And can you cleanse and reuse components of it, like say stones?
Ooh, okay.
It was a little longer than that. I'm kind of condensing her message. But one of the examples she used, if what if she used some of her favorite stones or favorite tools as part of a spell jar, is there a point where she can deconstruct that, cleanse those things, and then repurpose them for other magical uses down the road? I have a weird, confusing answer to that, which is yes and no.
Yes, that's mine too. I have a question.
Yes,
Why did you put the spell in the jar in the first place?
good point.
If you know why you put the spell in the jar to begin with, that's going to tell you whether it's okay to take it apart and reuse the components or not.
Maybe it's a timed spell. Maybe it's you do a spell jar to gain employment and then you gain employment and you're done. Your spell's over. It's worked its magic. So your answer is you shouldn't undo it. There, you answered your own
That's not
question.
my answer. That's not what I said at all. What I'm saying is that if you know why you put the spell in the jar in the first place, other than you just like jar spells, that will tell you whether you can take it apart or not. Some you can, some you can't. I do have a question though, because I think spell jars are more popular than they need to be. The only spells that need to go in a jar are spells that need to be carried someplace, spells that need to be locked up forever or as long as possible, or spells that need to be prominently displayed but not disturbed. Those are the only reasons.
And not disturbed means you shouldn't undo it, right?
What I mean by not disturbed here is just that while the spell is active, you don't want the components to become separated. That's all. But once it's done, go ahead and take it apart. Say you made a spell to gain employment and you put that on a prominent place right by your computer so that every time you went online to fill out resumes, you
was right
saw
there.
that jar. It was right there.
Right
That is
there,
the
yeah.
perfect use for a spell jar. It's undisturbable. The spell is right there. By seeing it, you re-trigger the spell. You get employment. You're like, okay, I don't need this jar anymore. I say, take it apart and reuse the parts. Most of them anyway.
Okay.
What do you say?
I agree. I agree. And how I equated it was not necessarily for a spell jar. I'm trying to think in my head because a lot of my spell jars I seal, wax seal. I don't open mine back up. But I was thinking of like a money bowl, for example. So you make a money bowl, it's done its due, you're done. Can you take the components out of that money bowl, cleanse them and reuse them? Well, yeah. I'm not rich here, people.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know?
I'm going to say yes and no. Most of them, yes.
I think it does depend on what the intent of the original thing was, whether A, you should undo it, and B, if you think you should, are you going to cleanse it? And are you going to kind of get it into that point spiritually where it can be repurposed?
Are they cleansable?
Right. That,
You
yeah,
know,
again, another thing, are they cleansable?
the herbs I would probably
Be done
burn as
with.
an offering or put
Yeah.
outside as an offering or just be done with. If it's stones, really nice stones, it depends on the spell that I did. Maybe I want those stones to stay charged with that spell even after I take them out of the jar.
Right.
Were those stones used in a working that was so powerful that I don't think they're ever going to be able to let go of that energy? You know, that would be another reason to not reuse them.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be almost like a case by case specific thing.
Yeah, and I say for the most part, yes. In my money bowl right now that I'm looking at that I have lit, I have money.
I do too. Yeah.
I'll be using that money.
Yeah, I ain't throwing it away. Ain't
No,
happening.
it is a symbolic offering of energy right now in the bowl. So that can absolutely be reused again. I have some green stones in here. I'm probably going to reuse them when I redo my money bowl at the beginning of the year.
Same.
So I like to reuse things as like for like spells. These are money bowl stones going to go in another money bowl spell. Easy peasy.
I like that, like for like. Yeah.
If I was doing a love spell and I put like, say maybe I put a carnelian in there,
You're not going to turn around and use that carnelian for something ass opposite. No.
unless you do some cleansing. And sometimes, even if you do, that stone might really want to just do the love spells and might not want to do the hex spells anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I hope Sarah gets what we're saying. So,
So, yeah. But my bigger question is, why did you put the spell in a jar? Did it need to be in a jar in the first place?
right.
I think we put too many spells in jars.
So I think
Let
that's
the spells roam free, people.
I think that wraps up our question and answers for today. And first off, I want to say, obviously, we've got a ton of more questions sent to us. We will do another Q&A maybe after the holiday. We'll see how it goes. But we can only do so many questions and answers in one episode, people, and these are the ones we got to.
Thank you so much for sending them all in. And thank you so much for the winter solstice, the Yule cards, the cool things you're
Holy
sending to our
mackerel.
P.O. box.
By the way, the people who are sending us mail, you guys make our day. Fabulous, fabulous stuff being sent to us. We love you and thank you. And by the way, keep it coming.
We're so glad the Canadian post office strike ended. We're going to get some
I know,
Canadian stuff
right?
out. We had to order more solstice cards. I love it.
How cool is that? So even if it's after the solstice and even if it's after Yule, send us stuff. Send us letters, write to us, do whatever. Just send us stuff. I love finding things in the P.O. box. Get us at Back on the Broomstick, P.O. Box 106, Salem, Massachusetts 01970.
And if you send us a Yule or a solstice card, we'll send you one back. And starting in January, we're going to do a mail roll call regularly where we go over all the fun things that you've sent us. Questions, cool stuff, everything.
What we're really going to do, we're really going to start singing the Blues Clues song, We Just Got a Letter.
We just got a letter.
We
just got a letter. We can't sing together.
wonder who it's from.
But thank you so much for listening to this episode of Back on the Broomstick. We are loving all the interactions that you guys are giving. I hope you're enjoying the meditation on our podcast discussion board on Facebook, Back on the Broomstick podcast discussion board, run by the wonderful, the witchy, the amazing Helen Jojo.
We love Helen.
We do indeed.
Find us on all the socials. You know the socials, the Twitter. Is that what it's called anymore? It's not called that anymore, I don't think.
Blue Sky. Find us on Blue Sky.
Find us on all the socials. Find us on the Blue Sky. Find us on the Instagram. Find us on the Facebook and even on the YouTube. And Layla, what do they search in all of those fields to find us?
Back on the Broomstick. That'll bring us up
Yay.
everywhere. Yay. Leave us some stars, some likes, reviews. It really helps the show out. And if you want to become a benefactor, click on the support the show link in the show description.
So, until next time, folks, stay wise, stay wicked.
Happy Yule, blessed winter solstice, and keep it witchy.